Well, hello there. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stee-full, and this is one of my favorite things that I've gotten to do in my life so far. This podcast, I get to sit down with people that are musicians, songwriters, visual artists, stand-up comics, artist managers, merchandise specialists, just anything kind of under the umbrella of music and arts. And basically anybody pursuing a future or a career in something that they are very passionate for. And we talk about the ups and the downs, how they've done, what they've done, how they got where they are, what they're working on right now. Just kind of the path of that life and how it can be equally and simultaneously awesome and horrendous. But it's always a beautiful thing, and I love to get to do it, and I love to share it with you. Before we get to the episode, though, I do want to let you know that this podcast is currently listener funded, which means that instead of me reading a bunch of advertising spots right here for mattresses and tax websites and whatever else, I'm just going to tell you that if you would like to, you can go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. And there, the listener, you can pledge $1, $3 a month, $5 a month, whatever you choose. And in return for that, not only do you get to support the podcast and be a part of it, but I also from time to time will post up behind the scenes pictures, videos from the talks here, or whatever random things that I decide. I also record sometimes I jam with the guests, and I'll record and save that as an MP3, and I'll put that up there. And there's a bunch of different perks that you can go check out for higher prices. But like I said, it's as little as $3 a month, less than a cup of coffee. But if you want to check that out, that would be great. That would be wonderful. Once again, that is patreon.com/DSM podcast. How are you doing today? I know I just kind of cut that in there in the middle of that, but I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. Let's get to it. My guest today is a fellow that I've known for, I guess about 7 years now. Scott Campbell is one of the most talented graphic artists that I've ever seen, let alone worked with. And I don't just say that because I've worked with him, and he's designed most of my CD covers and merchandise artwork. I say that because he's truly an amazing artist and a hell of a nice guy on top of that. I love getting to hang out with Scott anytime I can and talk with him about life and whatever else. And luckily we recorded this time, and it was no exception to that rule. From the greater Muscle Shoals, Alabama area, here is Scott Campbell and I sitting down and talking.
Pick it up from piano.
Sir, please state your name and occupation for the people listening.
Name's Scott Campbell. Occupation, I would call myself a freelance graphic design commercial. I like to use commercial artist better.
Yeah.
Graphic design over the years has kind of become the catch-all phrase for anything that has to do with art.
Yeah.
And back in the day where I come from, graphic design was just the guys that did the page layout. Illustrators did all the illustrating, drawing, and that kind of thing. And
but now, because everything's done on the computer, everything's just graphic.
Yeah, everything's called graphic design since it all went digital. So, back in the day, I was doing everything by hand, and everything was mixed media, was watercolor, pen and ink, airbrush, pastels, that kind of thing. So commercial art was, if somebody needed a sign, I'd paint it. If somebody needed a portrait, I'd paint it. If somebody needed, something hand lettered or, laid out for a t-shirt, I would.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a broader term, I guess, that kind of, I don't know, I'd say it was lost because of the digital world that we're in now. But
you still can, so is that what you call yourself now, commercial artist?
Yeah, illustrator.
Yeah.
commercial artist.
I'm going to ask an ignorant question here. Before computers, how did you go about designing a T-shirt and like setting it up to where you could print the T-shirts?
It was, we called it, well, some people called it stippling, some people called it pointillism. You had to break everything down into like what they would call halftones.
Okay.
And today you've got halftone patterns that a RIP system or your computer will put in it. But back then you would do like a drawing or a sketch and then lay some acetate. It's like a Mylar clear plastic on top of it.
Okay.
And using India ink, dip pens, rapidograph pens, you'd sit there and do the lines. And then if you wanted halftones or the fade, like from black to gray, it was actually all black. You just made dots. And all those dots would get more sporadic as you wanted to get lighter. So, they called it stippling. And then there was
I've been called stippling before, but they just mispronounced my name.
There's very, it was a precise kind of thing. I mean, there was a thing called amber lith, ruby lith, which was a film that you would put on top, and with an X-Acto knife, you would cut out all the different solid areas that you would want, and you could see through it, and you could cut out whatever the solids were, weed out the rest.
Yeah.
And what you had left would work like it would burn a screen. It would work like a negative. So the black.
So then, what would they like? That be made into some kind of a thing like you would like for screen printing or for
right.
Or for then you would put it on the shirt and then something stamps it down on there.
Yeah, you would take the acetate and you would put it on a screen that was coated in emulsion.
Okay.
And they put that in like a light box and expose it with a big bright exposure unit.
Okay.
Which then, wherever your ruby lith is, or whether your black line drawing is, would burn that image into the screen. So you had to break everything down into like 5 colors or 3 colors or 10 colors or whatever.
For the different layers on the shirt or whatever.
Right.
How about that?
So I was doing that kind of
already learning things.
I was doing that kind of stuff when I was like 15.
Yeah.
And the cameras that we were using then would take up a room this size. It was like 10 by 10.
At what point? First of all, where are you from?
Oh, man.
Way back.
You're going to get me on this one.
Yeah.
South Bend, Indiana.
Where'd you grow up?
I spent the 70s in South Bend. Actually, Elkhart. Elkhart is about 15 minutes outside of South Bend. Okay. And spent the 80s in Florida.
Okay. So you were a little kid in South Bend area?
Right.
Okay. In Notre Dame
Absolutely.
country?
Absolutely.
How many Fighting Irish tattoos do you have?
I have no tattoos.
I know some Notre Dame fans that have like 5 different Notre Dame Fighting Irish tattoos.
Never got it, but my dad drove a bus for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He actually passed away at O'Hare Airport driving Notre Dame students to the airport to get them home for Christmas one year. And then my mom, of course, everybody's seen the movie Rudy. Yeah. That last game where he sacked the quarterback, Georgia Tech and all that stuff. My mom was at that game. So it was just, it's growing up in South Bend's kind of like growing up in Tuscaloosa for you guys. And all.
I get it. It's where you're at. I would have given you more shit like 5 or 10 years ago maybe, but I don't really care that much now. Like whatever.
Well, after the years that Alabama's had.
Yeah, it's just...
I'm the one that keeps my mouth shut.
So you moved from South Bend, to Florida?
Yeah, Ocala, Florida.
How old were you then?
7th grade.
Okay. You graduated high school there?
No. Well, my mom was in the mobile home. They would... Like, all the men in our family owned mobile home businesses of one sort or the other, and all the women owned the decorating side of it. Like, they did the drapes and whatnot that went into mobile homes. Yeah. So my grandmother, my mom, and all them got moved around all over the place trying to run these old companies. And so she got transferred down to Ocala, and then from there got transferred to Lakeland, which is right outside Tampa. Okay. And then from there was transferred to, well, you've played in Gunnersville.
Oh, yeah.
So we were in Albertville. Well, you've played in Albertville too.
Artville. Man,
Artville.
we played in Artville in football and all the sports in school. Yeah. So that's where you finished high school.
Yeah, we moved there. It was my middle junior, senior year. So I graduated from Albertville.
What year?
89.
89. All right. Did you play any sports or anything? Or
Yeah, we most of the schools up north and in Florida were all soccer. I played soccer for about 14 years.
Okay.
But it was basketball, soccer, baseball. Played football a little bit, but like I said, most of the schools that I went to were smaller and they didn't have a budget for a full team. So
yeah,
it's easier to run around and kick a ball than it is to.
At what point in all of this process did you sit back and say, "Hey, I'm pretty good at this drawing shit. Maybe I should do something with that"?
Honestly, when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were divorced when she was like pregnant with me, so I really never knew him. And every place we would go, I would end up getting stuck in the corner of the office with a big stack of copy machine paper and a new box of crayons and a pencil. And that's all we did. And of course, we didn't have computers and cell phones and video games and all that kind of stuff. So it's like,
shut up, Scott. Go in the corner and draw something.
Go draw.
Go draw the refrigerator again.
Yeah, it was weird because I remember getting the TV guides, and and all the TV guides were a guy by the name of Richard Amsel used to do all the portrait work and stuff that you would get, and the movie posters for Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all that kind of stuff.
That was is that kind of what formed and you learned?
You
paid attention to that the most.
Every time I wanted to go to the movie to see the posters.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
then I was tripped out about how accurate the poster was to the characters in the movie and
how it fit with the storyline or the whatever. Yeah,
cool. It was like, man, he really made Harrison Ford look like Harrison Ford. It's like, how did he do that? So I got obsessed.
That's so cool that like the things that people really pay attention to, and some people are like, oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Well, I mean, it's like with you musicians and everything. It's like I hear all the stories about pulling out that album and hearing Hendrix and hearing it's like, how in the world did they do that?
Yeah,
I'm wired the same way, but it's in another area.
Yeah, for sure. When
you were listening to the stuff, I was looking at the covers.
Right. Yeah, there you go. What'd you do after high school?
So
you were already at that point. You said you were already doing like some commercial or like.
Yeah, I was when like 15 years old.
T-shirt stuff. That's what you said.
I had a knack for drawing, and tattoos were kind of not that big.
Yeah.
Then, and so a few tattoo shops would have me draw for them, and a couple screen printers would need somebody who could freehand. And I would get pulled in to do that kind of thing.
You've been doing this for a while.
When I was about 16, I started doing, I would go to a flea market festival and sit and do little portraits of folks.
Yeah.
And this guy came in and sat up next to me airbrushing. And, you're sitting there drawing a portrait in 15 minutes for $10. And this guy spray paints their name on a T-shirt and makes $20. And it's like, wait a minute. I got to learn this.
Yeah.
So, and ironically, I started airbrushing around flea markets and festivals and stuff on Sand Mountain.
Yeah.
And I would
turn that mic towards you just back. Yeah, rotate. There you go. I feel like that might be better.
I would drive.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Look at that.
I would drive to Fort Payne and buy my T-shirts from the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. They sell them out of the back there. So, doing the flea markets with that, and was heading to a fine arts school down in Sarasota, Florida called Ringling. And at the time, Photoshop hadn't hit the market yet. Computers weren't out, so it was all mixed media and that kind of thing. So you had to go to a 2-year school to get your degree, like an associate's degree, get all the math and Englishes and all that stuff out of the way.
Right.
And then transfer in to do the fine art. And that's when Photoshop hit the market. So all of a sudden, everything that I grew up learning to do went out the window. And it wasn't what can you draw, it was what program do you know.
Yeah.
And I got pissed. Thought I knew it all, dropped out of school, married my girlfriend, Kristen, who you know, and headed down to Fort Walton and started airbrushing on the beach down there. And she got pregnant with our daughter, and here we go. Now it's
so that's a real American story right
now.
there.
Yeah, now it's paying bills. It's no longer.
How did you may have said this and I may have missed it. How did you go about learning the airbrush thing when you were like, hey, that guy's making more money doing less stuff? How do I do that?
I went and bought the stuff and locked myself in.
Messed up a bunch of shirts?
No, well, yeah. We used to hang bed sheets up on the side of a wall.
Okay.
And I would just destroy it. I would spend all day working on it.
Just like getting the form and learning how. Oh yeah, nice.
Like running scales.
Yeah. Man, so how long did you do the airbrush thing?
I was down
while you were raising like the kids and stuff, or did
we got married February '92.
Yeah.
She got pregnant like a month after we were married, and we were. Yeah. Oh no, seriously. Her dad is still doing the math.
Yeah.
But no, we got pregnant right away, and we were down in Fort Walton. You know, I was 21, she was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, and no insurance, and I'm spray painting t-shirts.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're a t-shirt airbrusher.
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't come with benefits?
Not at all. Oh, that was something.
Have you ever worked a job that came with benefits?
No, I have freelanced. I'm 47, and I have freelanced since I was 16, 17 years old. I don't know that world.
Yeah, that's why I hear like all my buddies that I graduate high school with, like talking about this and that, and do with their 401k and this and like the stuff through their work, and they can match this. I'm like, I understand that those concepts exist, but I would have to. It'd be like learning something totally new.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I feel like there's something wrong with me, because I don't have that, or I don't. I mean, I don't really. I don't want to say I don't care.
Yeah.
But the idea of retiring just doesn't factor into my brain. I
love that. Yeah.
Because what I do is what I've always done, and I can't think of not doing it.
Right. Even if I think that's it's so great, because once you find that, then it doesn't matter if you make $1 million tomorrow. Next week, you're probably going to be drawing something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you got in the bank or what you don't have in the bank. If that's what you enjoy doing, then
I'm not really addicted. I mean, I've done some pretty neat stuff for some cool folks, and I'm not addicted to who I'm working for. I'm addicted to the process.
Yeah.
You asked me about the airbrush. I mean, it was one of those things that it's like, ooh, there's another tool I haven't learned yet.
Yeah. It's
so
the creating the visual creation process.
Right. Yeah. That was a tool that could give you a smooth tone when you were painting. You didn't have all these little brush strokes and everything like that. It was just you spray it on. You could get a lot of effects out of it, and it was something I just had to learn.
Yeah.
Everybody told me don't do T-shirts because you'll get stuck. And that's not real art. We don't. People don't view T-shirts as art.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen.
Well, I think it's cool that some artists may have grown up and like their examples of the first artwork they remember would have been something else, but like the stuff that you remember noticing and paying attention to was like the TV guide and movie posters and the T-shirts and those things, which is what you ended up getting into. If you had been super focused on other kinds of art, then that might have been the area you went. But I think it's really cool that now you're doing like show posters and T-shirts for Hard Rock and whoever else.
Yeah.
And it's just a continuation of what you
it's kind of neat
when you were growing up.
It's kind of neat how it started off as all illustration.
Yeah.
And then, the T-shirt thing came in, and it was more my rebellious, I'm going to go mess around on the beach and, have some fun. And when we did that, now we got kids and life happens, and now it's more about paying bills.
Was it pretty easy, the airbrushing thing, once you got the hang of it?
Yeah, I was told when I asked a guy, how long till you get good at it?
Yeah.
And he said 5 years. And I had no idea what, I was like, okay, what's the trick about 5?
What's 5 years?
Yeah, where's 5 years come from? And he said, I'm not telling you, but just come back in 5 years and you'll know.
Yeah.
And when I hit the 5-year point, I remembered him saying that, and I started laughing because what it is it's like learning how to write.
Yeah.
At one point you're focused on how you hold the pencil and how you shape the words, and then eventually you don't even think about it. You just pick up the pencil and start writing.
Right.
And it becomes more of an extension of you. And it's about a 5-year point where you don't even think about the airbrush. You think about what you're creating.
Right.
And the
airbrush
is
it just comes. It just comes out of the airbrush like it was coming out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that took around 5 years.
Took around 5 years, and I painted professionally for. I say professionally. I owned a store for 10, or a t-shirt shop. I think I did it for about a little over 15.
Now, was this out of like a truck, or was it a brick and mortar, or what? Were you in a souvenir shop in the corner?
I was in a shop in the corner.
Okay.
My first setups were in like flea markets and festivals.
Yeah.
And I've got some interesting stories of working a circus Midway and hanging out with some carnies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, my mom might hear this, so I don't want to go into all the stories.
Boo. Those are the good ones.
There was that was not my finest hour.
It's like, Mom, when you listen to this, just skip over minute 21 through 28. That was a really boring part.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, okay, the coolest gig, I mean, I was 17, 18, I think.
Yeah.
And this Midway, I was in Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
And it was about 2 hours from Albertville. So I didn't want to come. I mean, you're going to be painting till 2 a.m. and, I didn't want to drive home. So I decided, hey, I'm going to stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
I just happened to pick the same hotel by accident that all the carny guys were staying in. And there was a lot of smoking going on.
Yeah. Did they appreciate? Do they care about being called carnies? Is that like a derogatory term, or is that?
Well, no. I mean, they didn't then.
Yeah.
They might now. I don't know.
I'm sure
I don't
somebody
know.
would get mad about it now. Somebody's offended that I just said it.
Yeah. No. I mean, everybody gets offended by everything nowadays. But
yeah.
No. I mean, they were just. It was fun. They were some cool guys.
Just gypsies. Just they're just artistic in a different way.
Yeah.
I guess.
But I mean, it was that way in the beginning, and then you go down to Florida and you set up in a shop, and it's kind of like a percentage base. They pay 80% of what you paint, and you give them back 20% for like rent of being in the store.
Letting you be over in the corner, yeah.
Yeah.
So how much did you freak out when you had just been married, and then you're like, all right, now we're gonna have kids, and I paint shirts? Were you comfortable enough? I don't know what kind of money you're pulling in with that. Were you comfortable enough to be raising kids?
It scared me to death on one end and thrilled me on the other, because I grew up without a dad,
right?
And now I get to have that. Now I'm gonna be a dad.
Yeah. So you came out on the. I mean, that sucks that you did, but you came out on the good end of it.
Oh yeah, I had a great mom.
Yeah.
I mean, and we
and
had
now
a great
that
stove.
means like you want to be a good dad, like because you didn't have that.
That was a tenacity in me that was, I mean, my wife and I've had ups and downs like anybody.
Right.
And, but that was divorce is not an option.
Yeah.
I don't care what the situation, I don't care what it is, we're going to be a family one way or the other.
Yeah.
So.
How many kids do you
3.
have? 3 kids.
27, 25. I got to get this right. I'm bad in 20.
20, okay. What did you keep doing? How long were you doing airbrush stuff?
I did it 15 years, and I don't remember what year I was in a mall, and I remember I knew it was over when I picked up like a Vogue magazine or something like that, and I was reading what the trends were for the year, and the number one trend no was an airbrush T-shirt or an airbrush car tag, and I was like, yeah.
Was this like around 2000-ish? No, that would have been like 05-ish,
something like that,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, and being in a mall, I was going in debt without even trying because you just don't have customers coming in, and so I started doing murals on the side. To try to bring in extra money, and called some screen printers, trying to get back into doing the screen printing artwork, and And
get the name back out there. Yeah,
got it. Yeah, just shuffle into another field. And
still in Fort Walton at that time?
No. We were only in Fort Walton we got out before the big hurricane hit in '90. We were only there for like 2 years.
Okay.
And then we ended up back in Huntsville.
Okay. From
there, and man, we ain't got enough time for me to tell all these stories, but yeah, I mean, we had to pay. I mean, you only work 6 months down on the beach, so you
had to make sure and save because of off season.
Yeah, you pay double and triple rent, so that when basically when September hits, you want all your rent paid through the following February, so you don't have to worry about that. And we had paid all that ahead, and had come back. This was our second season. Had come back to Boaz, Albertville area to hang out with our folks.
Yeah,
and found out she was pregnant with Hunter, our second son. And at the point, of course, we still don't have insurance, and you have to get a doctor and start making those payments. Well, I could make money working some flea markets and festivals and all that kind of stuff around Sand Mountain, but I couldn't make it back during the off season in Florida. So we had to get a doctor in the Boaz area, which meant when she hit her third trimester, it was time to move back to Florida, and she wouldn't have been able to move. So we were kind of stuck. And I did one of them, oh God, help me, what do I do? And the very next day, I got a call from our landlord, and they said, hey, I'm sorry, we sold our house, and we were trying to buy a house, and it fell through, and we need our apartment that we're renting you back. So the good news is we're going to refund you all that money you paid us. The bad news is
get your shit and get out.
Bad news is we need you out, and this was a Thursday. I had to be out by Monday.
Yeah.
So we got a U-Haul, went down, loaded everything up, come back.
Yeah.
And now I've got no job, no insurance. We're living out of the back of her aunt's house, a baby, and another one on the way.
Sounds like a country song.
You could write that, man. Yeah. And then, I did another
song. That is a country. It's a Loretta Lynn song, I think. It's where she's got this kid's doing this and this kid's doing that, and one's on the way or something like that.
I mean, and I did. It was another one of them. Oh God, help me. I mean, the good thing is we got enough money refunded to us to pay for a doctor. Yeah. And then I had a guy call me like a week later and said, you were working a festival, and we came by your booth and we saw your card, and
nice.
Just wanted to know if you were interested in coming to work for us instead of going back to Florida. And I ended up moving to Huntsville and getting a job in a mall over there.
Nice. How long were you doing that stuff? At what point did the hard rock thing come along? Are you still doing working with hard rock?
That kind of faded.
Yeah.
That's fading.
Was that the next big thing that happened for you?
Yeah, I was. When I mentioned starting to doing the murals, when the airbrush shop. Okay, the Huntsville thing. I ended up working in a mall. I ended up buying the store, and I was there for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And when that was all fading out with the whole, I got into doing mural work, and I got into going back into the screen printing stuff. The screen printer I was working for did hey, I used to do a lot of work for Hard Rock, and there's a guy that's needing some artwork, and I know you can do some illustration work, so we need an illustrator who can design T-shirts.
Yeah.
And are you interested? So they threw that in my lap, and I ended up getting put on a retainer with this vendor that was doing Hard Rock, and that basically supported us for about 12 years.
Yeah. Have you ever had to do like a side job kind of thing, or have you always found a way for art to be?
I am a unique, blessed man that I've been able to make a living as an artist since I was 17.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But there's been times when, I know there's a lot of musicians that will understand this. Mowing my yard in tears, doing my "Oh God Help Me's."
Yeah.
I don't have enough money in the bank to buy groceries next week.
Yeah.
You know,
something's got to come along.
Yeah, and then the next day I go down to my studio and I pull up an envelope that said, "Oh, hey, we saw your work and we need a portrait, and can you call me?" And so I call them, and it's a, well-paying gig, and they give me a deposit up front, and I got groceries.
And probably also like music gigs, there's probably some that are great and you get to be super creative, and there's probably some where you just need to go draw something and make the money.
Yeah, like, you gotta mail it in.
Right, yeah, I could see that. That's so cool. I love just how music and visual art and all these different things just overlap in so many ways of the creative process of just all that we just talked about.
Well, and when we were in Albertville, I mean, music is, I don't call myself a player or anything like that, but I piddle.
Well, you're modest. You are a bass player. I know several. I don't even know how many bass players that are not as talented as you.
Well, thank you. That's another story.
When did you start playing?
Really, back when I was about 16, 17, it started with guitar. I was really infatuated with it, and the band I was in, I was a rhythm player.
Okay.
And actually, the guy that I played with, he could play anything Steve Vai ever wrote. I mean, he was one of those sweet picking.
So your side job was playing music. You were
that was my hobby.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is his favorite, the guitar player I was playing with, his favorite player was Nuno Betancourt, guitar player for Extreme.
Okay.
Who I am going to be hanging out with tomorrow.
Extreme. I don't even know if I know that.
You know the song More Than Words?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that whole Nuno. Anyways, I'm going to be hanging with him tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's. Anyways, the guy taught me how to play rhythm behind him, so he could do all that fancy guitar work on top of it. I never learned how to play because, if the solo was going to be done, it was him. So my ears back then got trained for the pocket.
Yeah.
But on a rhythm guitar. So I thought I was a guitar player, but I really was more frustrated because I didn't know how to play it. I just knew how to lock into a drum and play rhythm.
Right.
So as I got, kids, guitars go away, I got to grow up and play bills. And then when I got a little bit older and the kids got older, I pulled the guitar back out, and it was still that same old frustration until one day I got a hold of a bass, and it was like, hey, it was like comfortable.
Right.
And I realized that my fingers and my ears and all that were now in sync.
Synced more than trying to...
Yeah.
I had a bass for a little while. I played bass in high school in a gospel quartet, and then didn't play for a while when I moved to Nashville. And I always thought about it. And at one point, a few years ago, I got an Epiphone... Is it Thunderbird? Thunderbird's bass, yeah. I loved it. I don't play bass. I don't ever go out
because you're a guitar player.
Yeah. And so it just sat in the corner. So then, like, a couple of years ago, I traded it for a Telecaster, which also just sat in the corner because it was like my fourth or fifth guitar. So the other day I sold it.
The bass?
No. Well, I traded the bass for a Telecaster, and then I sold the Telecaster a couple of days ago. Wow. It was just sitting in the corner.
Well,
I'm trying to offload the shit that I don't ever use. I'm tired of keeping everything around.
Yeah, that's not bad. I had somebody offload a Fender jazz bass, 30 years old. Will McFarland's son, Jamie, who's an incredible bass player.
Will was on the podcast here last year. It's been a while, yeah.
I gotten thrown in with him a couple times. That was the Muscle Shoals locals trying to pull me out of my sit in the room and practice all the time because I was paranoid. And
what got you here? What got you here to Muscle Shoals?
We were living
Sheffield, Florence, Shoals area.
Yeah, we were living in Huntsville, and my wife wanted to finish a degree, and so we were moving for her to go to UNA.
Yeah.
So we moved closer this way.
You're in Tuscumbia? Is that technically which?
We're in Sheffield.
Area do you live in? Okay.
We live in Sheffield.
When you moved here, were you playing music at all, or were you?
No. We were. I was still airbrushing. I owned a store in Decatur.
Okay.
And then when my lease was up, I moved it over to Florence and was there for 5 years, and that's when I started getting back. That's when the whole hard rock thing happened.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we've been here about a little over 20 years.
Nice. It's a beautiful area.
Oh yeah, I love it. I didn't appreciate it then,
Yeah.
like I do now.
Well, see, at that point, you were knee deep in kids.
Knee deep in kids and paying bills and
Yeah.
it's
mowing the yard and crying about whether or not you can buy groceries the next week.
well, I mean, you know.
Oh, I mean, I say that from experience.
I
Not
will
with the kids, but the rest of that.
I will say, and I'm not gonna get all preachy and everything, but you have people sit down and say, God, thank you for the food you've provided.
Yeah.
I can actually say I have felt those words a few times.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just, you know, things you rattle off. I mean, I've
Right.
literally throughout the years have seen all of that being provided. And I know, I mean, it's not my fancy ingenuity. You know, it's, I'm blessed.
Clearly and obviously the most important thing that has happened in your life is when you were in Nashville and you met me, of course.
Oh, hey.
No, when was that? What year was that?
There's a whole line of stuff that I could that I could just rattle off from that situation.
I joke. It was,
no, but it's true.
It was a cool meeting.
It was. I mean, what was it? How long ago was it? 8 years.
It was a bar. I played
Big Shots.
Oh, yeah, it was at Big Shots, and I think it was 2012. Because that was when my first CD came out, and I had already had it designed. Like somebody had already designed it and stuff. So that would have been end of 2011, first of 2012.
I know Chance was still there.
Yeah.
He was there. I mean, I remember.
because we were working on booking like my first shows on the road, and which happened to be like down here. We played on the Rocks in Florence, I think was the first. That show, and then we played, I think the night before we played Roosters in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah. Well, the On the Rocks show I went to that's when we ate at Riccatoni's that day.
Was it that day?
The day before. It was that trip, wasn't it?
No, I think it was later. It was one of the other trips. I mean, we came down here frequently there for a little while.
Well, Kristen and I would get just antsy. I mean, because we love music, we love art, we love all kinds of stuff, and the kids were old enough to leave at home. So we ditched them, and we would go to Nashville for 3 days and walk up and down Broadway. And the music was still somewhat decent then.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard all of your
different.
It's not. I wouldn't go there now, but we would walk them down, and we kept going back to Big Shots. You know, because you were there. But I mean, I remember the first time we walked in there. I'll never forget watching you frustrated at everything that was going on in the room.
Oh, God knows what it was.
And you backed up, and I remember you leveling your amps on the stage to make sure they were at the same visual level.
I believe that.
You know, on either side of the drum set. And I remember the bass player, who was phenomenal. I don't know his name, but the guy was brilliant. But
Jack Hartford.
He was dressed.
Bald?
He was
dressed like
AC/DC.
Yeah, that's Jack.
And the drummer was really good. I'm not knocking any of them. I mean, we kept coming back, but he was the dude with the eyeliner.
Phil, I think.
Yeah,
Potter, I'm sure. That my band was pretty steady there for a little while.
They were good, man.
Yeah.
They were good, and I got cracked up at Ben.
Ben, yeah.
Every time you guys would have to do Wagon Wheel.
Oh yeah.
He'd take the cord and wrap it around the mic cord, wrap around his neck.
Oh, really?
Like he was hanging himself while he played it.
I don't even remember that. He had to do that to play it, and I just drank a lot of whiskey, and that helped me.
Well, I mean,
play that.
It was just I'm real observant. I guess it's because of the illustrator in me, and just watching. You had such a professional way of handling it, and you could tell these guys were pros. Yeah, that were doing their best to put on a show, while at the same time being miserable with what you were doing. And but man, that was so fun.
It's a weird thing because we all, of course, love playing music. But it's like you're in that almost like the cashier, mail it in kind of job where, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes we can play like Joe Walsh songs, we were more excited. But sometimes there's a group of people there, and you want to make the $40 tip or the $20 tip or whatever.
Yeah, Freebird.
Yeah. Oh, one time we got paid $300 to play Freebird 3 times in a row. We were at Crossroads on Broadway. Guy was like, Freebird. I said, $100. We'll play the shit out of it. And he pulled out $100, handed it to me. I was like, well, crap, now we got to do it. And so we played it. And at the end of it, he Freebird. I said, man, you give us another $100, we'll play it.
And he gave it again?
Yeah, he pulled his $100 bill out. We played it, and he said it again after the second time. And I was like, man, let us play one more song, a different song. And then if you still want to hear Freebird after that, think about it. And we'll play it again if you give us another $100. So we got done with that other song, and he tapped his buddy next to him and said, give me $100. And then gave us another $100. We got $300 just on Freebird 3 times.
What'd the rest of the room do?
I mean, it was a Wednesday night, and at that time, Wednesdays weren't super crowded, so there might have been like 30 or 40 people there.
So they
were having a good time. I mean, we were good,
Yeah, you were. We went in there, and that little cubby hole off the left of the stage, we plopped down.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, what was it, the second or third time we were in there.
I remember I was like, that guy's got cool hair.
Well, it's just like yours.
Yeah, yeah.
I just refused to do the man bun.
Well, it's neat. It's kempt.
Well, it fits.
It's always there, and it always looks like the same.
But it fits you.
Yeah.
I'll look like an old guy trying to look like a young guy, and I don't want to do that.
Fair enough. But yours is consistently that. Like the way it looks right now, it always looks like that. Mine would look like that some days, and then it'd look like an afro some days, and it would look really greasy some days, and there was no...
And it's called leave-in conditioner.
Yeah.
Tons of it.
So.
But yeah, no, we love those. Those were some good days.
Well, do y'all still have the shop?
Yeah, the antique store.
Yeah, antique store.
It's kind of slowing down.
When did you start doing that thing?
Kristen would always play around with repurposing furniture.
Yeah.
And, she's really gifted at that. And through a long, series of events, she ended up buying the store from the person she was kind of putting a booth in.
Yeah.
And I think we've had it for a little over 5 years, give or take. So it's kind of a hobby that it's now a burden.
Didn't you say when I used to come up to Nashville and you'd go to like antique shops and try to find things to buy and then bring down and...
Yeah, we were scouting, and
yeah.
Every time we came to Big Shots, we were writing something off on taxes.
There you go. So what's going on now? What are you doing now? The hard rock thing's fizzled down.
Yeah, hard rock, and that's not a...
That's kind of been over the last few years, right?
Yeah, it's more of an economic thing. Not as many people really care or know who Eric Clapton is and the guitars on the walls, and it's just people just don't go to hard rock, so they don't buy the T-shirts, and my paycheck is attached to how many T-shirts people buy.
For sure.
So that's kind of dry, come down, and that's where, when I said you are connected to a lot, when I started doing some stuff for you, and then you got me connected with Wade, who then got me connected with the Opry. So, doing T-shirts for the Ryman, and the Opry kind of shifted in, as hard rock was shifting out.
Yeah.
And
so are you still doing that?
The Opry and the Ryman?
Yeah.
We're still doing several for those, and then it just kind of opened up a couple local guys here. I mean, I've always been the guy that did the drum head or did the backdrop or did the album cover, and so I kind of became that here in Muscle Shoals, and James LeBlanc had me do his Nature of the Beast album, the cover and all that with it, and that got him signed with Dreamline Entertainment in Nashville.
Yeah.
And Dreamline liked what I did with that, and they've started using me for some stuff.
Oh, nice.
And do you remember when Steven Tyler came to town and recorded? Steven Tyler
recently?
Yeah, it was probably, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah, Steven came to town, and Steven and Nuno recorded Brown Sugar.
Oh, cool.
But Muscle Shoals is, and I could say this now because the release party's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But they're about to release an album, It's going to go. It's nationwide, and it's got Chris Stapleton, Jamie Johnson, Willie Nelson, Kid Rock. I mean, it's just a whole host of people doing old Muscle Shoals hits, and they're about to do this big release on it. Well, I've gotten pulled into doing all the artwork for that.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Like the cover of it and everything?
Cover, inside,
Hell
everything.
Yeah.
They had me do all the artwork for the party that's going to be tomorrow. And
shit, yeah. Are you going to get like some points on that thing?
No points.
No?
No points, but
that's still an awesome gig though.
It's a good gig. And and I'm knee deep right now in a mural.
I've been seeing that on Facebook. Yeah, the train thing.
Yeah,
or something.
train.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was, and that goes back 15 years ago when I was doing murals. I've always wanted to do one around here, and just never had the opportunity. And was out taking.
How does that work? Does the owners of a building say, "Hey, we want to put a big picture on the side of our building"? And then they call you and say, "Hey, we'll give you."
Yeah, if I don't get that, then it's vandalism and I get in trouble.
Right. I just wonder. I didn't know how the market was for murals. Is there a big
usually like when somebody sees one, and they know somebody that's doing it, they go, "Hey, we'd like to do something like that."
So you take your time doing it, so plenty of people
exactly
drive by and see
you. No, but this one's on a time limit. They got a grant, and I got to get in and get out.
Yeah.
But I was taking pictures on an old bridge of the river for the Muscle Shoals album project.
Yeah.
And when I was coming off the river, it was like 5:30 in the morning, trying to get the sunset and all that. And I bumped into this old guy who was taking care of the grounds around the bridge.
Yeah.
And there was this huge wall that had graffiti all over it, and they were talking about cleaning it off and, all the restoration that they were wanting to do. And he said, I wish we could find a mural artist that could paint this old train on this thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know a guy. And, I didn't really care about the price. I wanted that wall.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm up to my ears in that.
That's awesome. What else is going on with you?
I got a really cool project that I can't say who.
Yeah.
But there's a songwriter and then it's going to come out, but I'm just not allowed to really talk about it.
Right.
Songwriter brought me in the studio and gave me all the lyrics to an album, and I'm in the middle of illustrating the whole inside of that.
Just off of what the words are or whatever?
That's something that I really like doing.
Yeah.
Is not necessarily trying to put eye candy on the front, but illustrate the lyric.
Like you were talking about the movie posters.
Yeah.
From when you were, seeing how they corresponded to the movies, doing that.
Well, the movie's an experience. You go watch the experience, and the movie poster needs to connect to that experience. And I kind of view album art the same way. This.
Yeah.
Music now is more of a. It's not the product. It's almost like the advertising to get you to the show,
right?
To
buy the shirt and
to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
But when somebody comes to the event, the show, your stuff needs to match what you're doing on stage and what you're saying. So
yeah, the branding, the experience, all that. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's.
But when we're off the air, I'll show you the art.
Yeah. So is most of this just word of mouth? Like the jobs that you get, is it almost just all referrals?
It's all referrals and word of mouth.
It's a sign of a man that does really good work.
Yeah.
I already know this. The people who've seen my shirts and CDs already know this. But
well, you are different. There's people that you see that you go, I just want to work with them.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It's like, this guy's cool, and I'm sick. I don't mean this in no hard feelings. I love Hard Rock Cafe. They've put, but I was just up to my ears with how many different ways can I do a guitar on a t-shirt, And it was like therapy.
Yeah.
It's like, I need something I can do that money's not an object I can just have fun with. And
right. Little did you know that I was going to be sending you 97 texts a day about, I'm thinking this. No, forget that. I think I want to be. No, you know what? Let me just send you a sketch, and then I send you 15 pictures of.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that. I'd rather somebody know what they want than have me throw darts at a board and keep saying no.
Yeah. I remember sitting in a coffee shop in Shreveport, Louisiana. Rhino Coffee. It's fantastic if you ever go. But I sat in there for hours one day. It was when I was sketching up the Memphis sessions.
Yeah.
Like cover and then inside and how I wanted the record thing. And
I remember all those sketches.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great. I've never, because you were so busy with the hard rock and then doing different things, sometimes like you'd be busy and couldn't respond for a few days or couldn't give me the drawing or the design, whatever, until next week.
Which reminds me, Chance, a logo.
But no matter how long it took, every time that you sent me anything, it's been so well worth the extra 3 days that it took or whatever. Like I feel bad. Damn, he did it again.
I feel bad because sometimes I think I'm going to do a T-shirt that says "My life is a game of tug of war and I'm the rope."
Yeah, no, I can.
And it's just I feel bad because it seems like I respond to whoever's yelling the loudest.
Yeah,
and you never yell, at least at me.
Hey Scott, I'm still here.
I get these little texts.
Hey man, I'm
little fist in the air. Yo.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be mean and rush you, but do you have that?
Yeah,
I have that poster for the show Friday.
You never got that close.
No.
But
what's
speaking
next?
of, it's about time for you to record something.
I know it is. It's somebody out there would like to give me $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever. That would be great. But no, I just need to schedule it, and it's just that's the hassle. I've got a bucket of songs I could, put together 6 or 8 or whatever. But it's the sitting down and the planning the time and the checking with the musicians and the checking with the studio and then how much is this going to cost and how much is this. Yes, I know that would take all of my focus.
Yeah,
and I got bills due next week. But no, it'll happen soon. I'll probably do another Kickstarter thing and send it out to all my people. All you people out there listening, all you new folks, go check out my first 3 CDs. If you like what you hear, shoot me a tweet.
And they will.
Or don't, or whatever. What is today? Wednesday, August 15th.
15th.
I turned 31 yesterday.
31.
It doesn't feel that different than 30.
No.
Doesn't really feel that different from 29.
And you'll blink and you'll almost be 50.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty happy. I wake up pretty happy. My back hurts a little bit more at 31 than it did at 26 maybe.
Man, I've spent the past week going up and down a ladder.
For the mural thing.
Yeah, and I've been for the past 15 years. I pretty much sat at a desk for 12 hours a day drawing.
Do you what kind of chair do you sit in? Do you have like a nice like memory foam?
No, it's just a regular office chair.
Yeah,
but I need to get a new one.
Same thing, like sitting, whether I'm doing podcasts or I'm emailing venues or I'm doing whatever. 90% of the time, it's in a computer chair.
Well, I'm starting to get like carpal tunnel. And my wrist is killing me, and I've got tendonitis in my elbow from the way I sit and draw.
Yeah.
And literally getting out of the desk and painting this mural, my arm has felt like new. But my back and my legs...
Just because you're doing different things. And
oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I come home at night and take a bath full of Epsom salts.
Yeah, man. Now we're talking. I realized the other day, so I was at the gym and I got in the sauna, and our sauna is co-ed, so there was a lady in there, and she saw me come in and sit down, and she said, "No book today?" Uh-oh. And I realized that she had seen me in there before reading over in the corner, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's over here. I'm going to eat this banana first and then read." And I had the realization that I've gone from, 5 years ago it was, "Oh, you're not going to get shit-faced drunk tonight," to now it's like, I'm being recognized in the gym as the guy who reads. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I like this. Yeah, no, I like it.
I remember going to Six Flags with my kids, and I wanted to ride every ride there. If it went upside down and backwards and twisted, I was on it. And I remember, and I was in my 30s, when I rode one and I got off and said, I think I'm becoming the guy that's going to sit on the chair with a book and let you guys go ride all the rides. Because my equilibrium was off. I thought I was going to get sick. It was awful.
Yeah. I'm
not doing that no more.
I'm good with it. I'm happy with it. What, say somebody wanted a mural painted or a fancy portrait or any other kind
anything
of
that had to do with art
things. How could they check out your stuff or get in touch with you or?
Just my on my website, Scott Campbell, SCOTT. Well, you're going to put this on there somewhere, but scottcampbelldesign.net.
Cool.
And if, when you go there, if you click on latest, my menu is real easy. It's about, latest, and contact. If you hit latest, it'll take you to my Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is not what I ate for dinner yesterday. It's just my portfolio.
Yeah. What's the Instagram handle?
I don't know. Scott Campbell Design.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I'll put links to it in the show notes.
And my Facebook is same way. I kind of put what I'm doing, not necessarily.
But it's cool. I love that because you don't just put, here's a T-shirt I designed, but you show like the process of it. You'll show like something half done and then the finished product. And you've done that before where you had like I think, didn't you do one where it's like 4, like a early and then the phase of the drawing or something like that?
I used to teach. I had a studio set up and there's that. I know there's people out there that are like me when I was a kid that they'll see it and go, how do you do it?
Right.
And
I love seeing that. Seeing they're like, oh, this is 25% finished. And this is,
I mean, I think a lot of people want to see the process.
Right.
And, it makes it more interesting than just, there's an image.
Right on. I think they should go look at your stuff, and I think that we should go eat some Mexican food.
Man, yeah. Tacos.
We're gonna go to Rosie's. I'm trying to decide if I want to have a margarita or whiskey.
You get whatever you want. It's your birthday.
Aw. Man, you gave me a bow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, no, I was listening to your podcast, and I heard you say, and this was one that my son doesn't use anymore. He's set aside. So it's kind of like a re-gifting.
Hey, that's awesome.
Somebody needs to use it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for talking. Thanks for the bow.
Yeah, I think
thanks for your hair.
Too much.
Thanks for your artwork, for your gifts that you put onto this planet for the rest of us to enjoy. Let's go eat some food. Thanks for talking, man.
Yeah, man.
My friends, thank you so much for listening. Go check out don'tstifleme.com/060 for show notes on today's episode. And I'll post some images up there of some of the magnificent artwork by Scott Campbell. And plus I'll put a link to his Instagram page if you would like to go check that out and see more. If you enjoyed this talk, please subscribe to the podcast here so you can get the new episodes. Also, if you know anybody that might be interested in these conversations, feel free to share the love with them and send them our way. If you feel like overachieving and going beyond that, well, if you're listening on iTunes podcast app, then you can go in and leave a rating and a review, and that would help us out here at the Don't Stifle Me podcast. And that would be very sweet of you. But more important than that, mostly more important than that, you should love your neighbor, treat everybody as you'd want to be treated. Let's make the world a better place, and all that good hippie stuff. But also, when you get a chance, go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. At that site, like I said at the beginning of the episode, for as little as $1, $3 a month, you can help support the podcast, but also get behind the scenes pictures and videos and MP3 downloads that I post up from time to time. And, there's just much more perks and levels. You can give me as much money as you want to give me, but all that money definitely goes toward hosting online fees and uploading the podcast and equipment and hard drives and microphones and everything to keep the ship sailing, the Don't Stifle Me ship sailing forward. Once again, that is patreon.com/DSM podcast. The podcast social medias are all at DSM podcast if you would like to go follow along. My personal accounts are all at Jacob Stiefel. And I run all of this stuff. So shoot me a message, say hey. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Woo!